what an exciting weekend of fights. We had PFL, we had Bellator, we had LFA, we had UFC. We had all kinds of stuff going on. So let's go ahead and get this episode kicked off. We have so much to talk about. But first, let me remind you again to check out Jocko Fuel. So if you are interested in any kind of supplements, protein powders, pre-workouts, energy drinks, or just health supplements, you know, maybe you want some joint warfare, help your joint pain, whatever you are looking for in the realm of supplements, whether it be for fitness or health supplements, you can probably find it on Jocko Fuel. They have pretty much everything that you could need. And if you use my code BREEBREE, you will get 10% off. You can also use that code on Origin. You can order a rash guard, order a jiu-jitsu gi, whatever floats your boat. So check it out. It will help support me and it will help support this podcast. So I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start with UFC. UFC was very interesting start. So the prelims, there was some funky stuff going on. That's just all I'm going to say. So the first fight to kick off the prelims was Modestas Bukauskas, sorry about that, defeated Zach Pauga via unanimous decision. That was a light heavyweight fight. And then at bantamweight, Dan Argueta versus Ronnie Lawrence. So remember I just said funky stuff going on? Well, this was one of those fights where there was some funky stuff going on. Yeah, very funky. But what happened was, so it looked like Ronnie Lawrence. So let me back up a little bit. So Dan Argueta kind of was in, I guess it was like a guillotine position on the ground with Ronnie Lawrence. Looked like Argueta pretty much almost had the guillotine. So Keith Peterson, obviously keeping a close eye on it, but I guess not close enough because he ended up calling the fight before anybody tapped. So it looked like Ronnie Lawrence was like probably getting ready to tap, but he didn't tap. Like he didn't tap. It wasn't even like he like slapped anything. Like, you know how sometimes a fighter will like move their hand weird. It looks like a tap. Like it didn't even look like a tap. So I don't know what happened. It looked like Keith Peterson honestly immediately regretted it and was like, oh man, what did I do? And unfortunately, yeah, both fighters end up kind of getting screwed because of that. Because if Dan Argueta was able to pull off that guillotine and made Ronnie tap or choke him out, he would have won the fight. Or if Ronnie could have gotten out of that guillotine and ended up defeating Dan Argueta some other way, then he could have won the fight. But it ended up a no contest because neither of them won the fight. Because Keith Peterson called the fight before anybody tapped. I don't know. It's just frustrating. But it is what it is. It happens. Actually, I haven't seen that happen in a long time. That doesn't happen super often. But it does happen. So just a mistake on the ref's part. It's really all it comes down to. Teresa Bleda defeated Gabrielle Fernandez. That was a women's flyweight fight. She defeated her via unanimous decision. And then another flyweight fight in men's flyweight. Carlos Hernandez defeated Dennis Bondar via unanimous decision. After that fight was Kyung Ho Kang versus Christian Quinones. And Ho Kang ended up winning that fight via submission. And that was a bantamweight fight. And then another flyweight fight. Men's flyweight, Alessandro Costa ended up defeating Jimmy Flick via a round 2 knockout. So that fight was crazy. And of course, a flyweight fight, what do you expect? They're always going to be fast-paced a lot of the time. And Jimmy Flick, he's a UFC vet. He's very, very experienced, very good fighter. So I wasn't sure who was going to win this fight. I'm not as familiar with Costa as I am with Jimmy Flick, obviously. But Costa really impressed me in that fight. I mean, obviously to pull off a finish in the second round, that's what you like to see. So that was probably one of the bigger performances that night, I guess you could say. And then going into the main card. So opening up the main card was Nicholas Dalby. So this was a welterweight fight. Nicholas Dalby defeated Muslim Salikov via unanimous decision. And then after that was a lightweight fight. Manuel Torres ended up knocking out Nicholas Mota. And if you've been a fan for UFC for a while, then you probably have seen Nicholas Mota's name. You probably watched him fight. You probably know who he is. So Manuel Torres definitely made a statement with that one. And then after that was a featherweight fight between Pat Sabatini and Lucas Almeida. And Pat Sabatini ended up winning via submission. That was another impressive performance. And then a middleweight fight. Another Armenian on the card. Armen Petrosian defeated Christian Leroy Duncan via unanimous decision. So actually in the co-main event, Arman Sarukian was fighting. And he's from Georgia, but he does have Armenian descent. So 2 Armenian fighters on the card. Very exciting. And they both got a win, so that's even more fun. So that was a middleweight fight. And then the co-main event was a lightweight fight between Arman Sarukian and Joaquim Silva. And honestly, until Sarukian was able to pull off the TKO, which I believe was in the 3rd round, until that point, it was a competitive fight. I mean, I didn't know if it went to the scorecards. I don't know who would have won, honestly. I don't know who was winning that fight, but I was very impressed with Sarukian, obviously. I don't know what's next for Sarukian, though. He did call out Makhachev, which I thought was a little much, maybe. But whatever, I don't know. He was probably just so excited. Yeah, I don't think he's going to fight Makhachev anytime soon. But could he end up fighting him in the future? Yeah, absolutely. I think within the next year or 2, we could probably see Sarukian fighting for the title. I don't think it's going to happen this year, and I'm not sure that it happens next year. But I think by 2025, we'll probably see him fight for the title at some point. He's very young. I think he's 26, so he's got a lot of time. I don't think they should rush it by any means. I think that would be silly, especially when that was kind of a hard-fought victory against Silva. It's not like he just, dominated him or anything. I mean, that was a tough fight for him, and he was supposed to win that fight. So, yeah, I mean, the odds were like minus 1,000 for Sarukian. So it's like, yeah, he was supposed to win. But Silva's tough, and Silva, he put up a very competitive fight, and yeah, he made it very difficult for Sarukian to get that win, because Sarukian knew, okay, if I really want to secure this victory, then I need to finish him. I need to finish this fight, and that's exactly what he did. Because if he would have let it go to the scorecards, I don't know that they would have given it to Sarukian, depending on how the rest of that round played out. So I think it was very smart for Sarukian to try to get the finish, just not leaving it in the judges' hands. But at the same time, yeah, it does kind of make me wonder, how does he do against like a top 5 at lightweight? Because keep in mind, again, lightweight's one of the deepest divisions. It's one of the roughest, toughest divisions in the UFC. So for somebody to just go to lightweight and go in the top 5, I mean, you got to be really good. So, and Sarukian is definitely really good, but is he good enough to beat somebody in the top 5? I don't know. I am not convinced yet, but we will see. I think he could get there. I think he could get there within the next year or so. Like I said, probably by 2025, we could see him fighting for the title, but I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon. Let's kind of look at the rankings and see who would be a good next fight for him. It's tough because obviously Oliveira just won, so he should be next for the title. Obviously. That makes the most sense. And then Dustin Poirier versus Gaethje. So whoever wins that fight, I would think would fight for the next title shot after Oliveira. That's my thought. Or they would fight Michael Chandler. Because here's the thing, Michael Chandler, who's he supposed to fight? What's Conor doing? I mean, obviously, everybody probably knows by now there's some pretty serious allegations out for Conor McGregor. I'm not going to give my opinion on it or really talk about it much because it's kind of a sensitive topic and it's just very disturbing. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like Conor is getting ready for a fight. He missed the USADA deadline, so he's not fighting this year unless they give him an exception, which based on all the other controversy he's involved with right now, I don't see them giving him an exception. I just don't. Not right now. Yeah, there's just a lot going on with Conor right now that's just making me wonder, like, what is he doing? What is he doing? I don't know. He's definitely like back to his old Conor ways, which is good and bad. It's bad because, I mean, quite honestly, Conor McGregor, the old Conor McGregor, the one that threw stuff at the bus and did all the crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't really like that Conor as a person. But on the mic, promoting the fights, he's fantastic. But here's the thing. I don't think he's even training right now. What is he doing? What is he doing? There is no evidence that Conor McGregor is getting ready to fight Michael Chandler. I haven't heard Dana White say it's confirmed anytime recently. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should go back and watch the press conference from last night because maybe he said something about it then. Oh my gosh. So today, or I guess last night, late, Sarukian tweeted, "Hey, Mike Chandler, if you think the fight with Conor is still happening, you are as dumb as your fight IQ." Burn. Dang, shots fired. To be fair, though, I don't think that fight is happening. I really don't. Sarukian said, "I saw what McGregor's doing. He's like relaxing on his yacht, like drink alcohol, goes to the beach, smoke weed. I train with the crazy guys. I live in the gym, train 2 times a day. He's not going to fight." So Sarukian also wants to fight Dariush. Yeah, I don't see him winning that fight either. I think he would be better off fighting maybe somebody like Fiziev first. I don't know. Him being so young, I'd like to see the UFC build him up a little bit more because I do think that he could end up fighting for the title, like I said, in the next couple years. But I just don't see anything on here where Dana's talking about it. So I don't know. I'll have to find. Yeah. Okay, so here's another question while we're talking about Sarukian. When did he fight Makhachev? I'm going to find the answer in just a minute. But yeah, I don't think Conor's fighting anytime soon. I think it's probably more likely he'll end up in bare knuckle boxing rather than fighting Michael Chandler. Just being honest. I just don't see him going into the USADA testing pool anytime soon. Based on what I've seen of his behavior, yeah. I just don't think it's going to happen, guys. I don't think it's going to happen. Arman Sarukian. Okay, when did he fight Makhachev? Was it in the UFC? Yeah, it was. That was 2019, so it's been 4 years. And Islam won via unanimous decision. And then Gamrot beat him via decision. That was last year. So he could rematch Gamrot. That's an option. I don't know if that's a great option for him to boost him in the rankings, but I just don't want to see him go up a level in competition too early. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think a rematch with Gamrot or somebody like, yeah, Fiziev would be a good one. I think he could win that fight. Or he could fight the loser of Poirier-Gaethje, which I think Poirier will win that fight, so maybe Gaethje would be next for Sarukian. That would be fun. That would be a fun fight. I assume Sarukian would probably just try to take him down. But yeah, there's not a lot of easy fights, though, in that division. I think no matter who he gets matched up with in that division, it's going to be a tough fight. I think there's no way around that. So, I don't know. We'll see, but I definitely don't think title shot is next for him. I think there are definitely some other people ahead of him for the title. I get it, though. He wants to rematch Islam and all that, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. We'll see how long Islam can hang on to the belt. That's another thing. There's some killers at lightweight. How long is Islam going to be able to keep pulling this off? We'll see. Okay, so let's talk about the main event now. Cannonier versus Vettori. So this fight was 5 rounds. It was a main event, non-title fight. But I think this fight showed a couple things. I think it showed that you really can never estimate Jared Cannonier. And it also showed that Marvin Vettori is not human. I've never seen somebody able to take so many shots like that. Besides like Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway, Nate Diaz, like those type of guys that have like an iron chin. Yeah. And he's still I think he's never been knocked down. Unless, were there any knockdowns in that fight? I don't think there were. Wait a second. I thought you could see the stats. Whatever. I'm not computer savvy enough to find this. But I'm pretty sure there were no knockdowns. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. But that would mean that he's still never been knocked down. Not even just... He's obviously never been knocked out, but he's also never been knocked down. And he's fought Adesanya. He's fought... He fought Costa, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he fought Costa. Pretty sure he beat Costa. And then... Yeah. Okay, I found it. There were no knockdowns in that fight. 241 significant strikes for Cannonier. Wow. That is absolutely insane. 4 takedowns. Unbelievable. Yeah, that was just an unbelievable main event. It reminded me kind of like a classic UFC fight, like a classic fight of the night. Just Vettori's chin is absolutely insane. I can't believe he took all those shots, all 241 of those significant strikes, and did not get knocked down, did not get knocked out, ended up finishing the fight all 5 rounds. Insane. Insane. And Cannonier is 10 years older than Vettori. That's just nuts. So what's next for Cannonier and what's next for Vettori? Because at middleweight, obviously he's not going to fight Adesanya for the title anytime soon. So what do we do with him in the meantime? He could fight Costa. Yeah, I think that would probably make sense because Duplessis and Whitaker are fighting July 8th. So Duplessis and Whitaker fighting July 8th. And then I assume the winner of that fight, definitely if Duplessis wins, he'll be facing Adesanya. If Whitaker wins, depending on how he wins, then I think a trilogy with Adesanya. But the thing is like, he still would be 1 and 2 even if he won the trilogy with Adesanya. So I don't know if the trilogy really makes a whole lot of sense. So maybe if Cannonier could get another win in between now and the next middleweight title fight. Depending on how that plays out, if Duplessis wins, Adesanya and Duplessis will fight, then maybe Cannonier could fight Whitaker. But I think Whitaker is going to beat Duplessis. I honestly do. I just don't see Duplessis winning that fight. That's a tough fight for anybody at middleweight. I don't know. Guys. I don't know what to do. I think Vettori next could fight somebody like Sean Strickland, depending on what happens with him and Magomedov. Because that fight, I think that's next week. I think Strickland and Magomedov, yeah. July 1st. Oh, so it's not next week, it's the week after. Okay. Yeah, if Sean wins that fight, then maybe he fights Vettori after that. I don't know. I don't know, it's kind of... interesting how the rankings are right now. Yeah, and then what do you do with Cannonier? I don't know. I think, honestly, maybe it would make more sense for Cannonier to move up to 205 because he's 39. I mean, he's got to be getting tired of cutting weight. So, I don't know. Maybe he moves up to 205 and makes a run at 205. I don't know. He's fought at light heavyweight before. He's definitely big enough. But this late in his career... I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with Cannonier. He's 17-6. He's 39. What are you going to do? Is he going to win another belt? Or is he going to get another title shot, I mean? Probably not. Unless he gets another really impressive victory, then I could see him getting a title shot. But when's the last time? Because he fought Adesanya before. I know he lost, but I don't remember when that was. I spelled his name wrong, I guess. Okay, found him. When is the last time Cannonier... Oh, that was a year ago. Yeah, he's not going to be fighting Adesanya again anytime soon. Because we've got Robert Whitaker. We got Duplessis. We got Pereira. I know they're probably not going to do another fight with Pereira, but they could. In theory, they could. I don't know. I think probably what will happen if Robert Whitaker can like absolutely demolish Duplessis, then I think he could get the trilogy with Adesanya. That's such a tough... But here's the thing. Max Holloway got his trilogy with Volkanovski, and he didn't win the first two. So, but you could have argued that he won the first two on scorecards, depending on how you looked at it. So, I don't know. Do I want to see Whitaker and Adesanya again? Of course I do. Because you always want to see maybe the possibility of Adesanya getting taken down, ground and pounded, or submitted or something like that. I don't know. I don't think anybody can beat Adesanya right now. Not right now. Maybe like next year. Then maybe somebody could beat him, but I don't know. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, that was a really exciting main event. And I thought Vettori was going to win. So, not like I thought by a long shot, but last week when I was talking about it, I was like, oh, I'm kind of leaning toward Vettori just because, first of all, it was in a smaller cage. And he's kind of type of guy when he's striking kind of is more staying in the pocket. He's not throwing any like super long kicks or anything like that. So I think the smaller cage, if anything, would help Vettori a little bit just from his style. He does a lot of grappling too. I thought he was going to take Cannonier down more, but I don't know. Cannonier has really good wrestling defense. And he's got good wrestling himself. I think kind of out-wrestled Vettori actually last night. So, but I was thinking that would work in favor for Vettori, and also just the fact that he's never been knocked out, he's never been knocked down, I don't think he's ever been finished in the UFC. So that's kind of why I was leaning toward Vettori, because I'm like, well, if Cannonier wants to beat him, it's going to have to be by decision. But I was thinking that Vettori would try to kind of wrestle his way to a decision. That was my thought process. But obviously, Cannonier proved me wrong and absolutely dominated Vettori on the feet and on the ground. So, yeah, that was crazy. Crazy. I was also thinking because Cannonier is 39, he's getting older, and Vettori's 29. So if you look at it that way, it's like, yeah, Vettori was supposed to win that fight, but can never underestimate Cannonier. That was just a crazy fight. Fun stuff. I also watched PFL. I did not watch Bellator. I watched Phil Davis versus Corey Anderson. I tried to watch that while I was watching the other fight. I was watching PFL, but I kind of wanted to just focus on PFL because it was getting a little too much, to be honest. So I didn't watch Bellator, but I will go over the results in a little bit. Let's talk about PFL. So, first fight was Isaiah Pinson versus Denzel Freeman, and Pinson ended up winning that one via split decision. After that was Jordan Heiderman versus Patrick Brady. Jordan Heiderman ended up defeating Patrick Brady with a kind of an interesting TKO. He threw a leg kick, and then Patrick Brady ended up getting injured from the leg kick and could not continue. So it was a TKO, basically like a leg kick TKO, I guess you could call it, for Heiderman. So that was really impressive. And then, see what was next. That was Olena Kolesnik versus Yoko Higashi. Kolesnik ended up winning that fight via decision. And I believe she's getting up there now in the tournament. So it'll be interesting to see the playoffs and how things go, because she definitely scored some points with that win. And I think I have to look at it to see where she's at as far as points go. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Pacheco is at the top as far as points go with that. But anyways, next fight, Julia Budd defeated Martina Jindrova via decision. And then another impressive performance was Marcelo Nunes defeated Danilo Marquez via knockout. After that was Marina Moknatkina. I always have to pause and read her name. It's so hard to pronounce. She defeated Evelyn Martins via decision. She was really impressive too. She's actually a Russian Sambo fighter, so she competed in combat Sambo, and she's 10-3 in MMA, so definitely going to watch out for her. And this is the women's featherweight division, by the way. This is men's heavyweight and women's featherweight are the two divisions that fought on Friday. So all these women on here are fighting at women's featherweight, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this all plays out, because the featherweight division in the UFC, not nearly, well, there's nobody in that division now because Amanda Nunes retired, but even when there were people in that division, I don't think it was nearly as stacked as it is in PFL. So PFL has done something right with the women's divisions. It seems like they just have more talent. So I think for women's MMA, PFL might be kind of where to watch for the future stars of women's MMA. I think PFL might have more talent right now than the UFC, just putting it straight. Yeah, that's just my opinion. Goltsov versus De Castro. So Goltsov actually pulled off the fastest knockout in PFL history with 18 seconds, knocking out former UFC competitor Jorgen De Castro. So that was extremely impressive performance. He definitely made a statement. And with Francis Ngannou in the crowd, the former UFC heavyweight champion, current PFL heavyweight, just signed PFL not too long ago. And he was actually there with John Jones, and John Jones was cornering Maurice Green. So Francis Ngannou is probably taking a look at these guys like, hey, can any of these guys be, a future opponent for me? But yeah, I think that probably motivated them a little bit more to kind of make a statement. So yeah, Goltsov definitely made a statement with that knockout. 18 seconds. He set it up beautifully with his jabs and then hit him with the right hand, knocked him out. It was just perfect. Yeah, fantastic. And then Aspen Ladd, who is a former UFC competitor, she ended up defeating Sobek via a submission. So it was actually an armbar, and that win clinched the playoff spot for Aspen Ladd. So that's very exciting. And then Biagio Ali Walsh, so the grandson of Muhammad Ali, defeated Miller via a KO. And it was not just any KO, it was a first round KO, and it was just... yeah, you could feel the energy there. There was a lot of hype around him. Obviously, with having the name Ali, being the grandson of Muhammad Ali, you're going to have a little bit more hype behind you, just having that in your blood. And then I would imagine that kind of puts a little bit more pressure on you to perform. So he definitely did. He showed us he's got that Muhammad Ali blood because he got a very impressive first round knockout. And I'm super, super excited to see where he takes his career and see where he goes in the playoffs and see if he could end up winning the whole thing. Who knows? And then after that was a very exciting heavyweight fight, another knockout. Fajeda ended up knocking out Scheffel, and he's actually 6'8", so probably one of the taller heavyweights I've seen in a while, besides somebody like Stefan Struve. And there's a few others that were pretty tall, but even taller than Cyril Gane. So it's kind of crazy to see this super tall Brazilian guy, 6'8". I mean, that's huge. So he ended up knocking out Scheffel. So another impressive performance. And I'm pretty sure Francis Ngannou was probably paying attention to that one too. So we'll see how he does in his next fight. If he can get another knockout like that, then he might end up getting to fight Francis. We'll see. After that was Larissa Pacheco. So this was probably, for me, the most impressive performance, just because it's women's featherweight. It's super exciting, fun fights. But also just kind of made me think, like, what if Amanda Nunes went to PFL? What if she came out of retirement, went to PFL and fought Larissa Pacheco? How cool would that be? Or fought whoever the winner is of this whole tournament. Obviously we got a ways to go, so we'll see if Pacheco keeps winning, but based on that performance, I would say if I had to pick somebody to win it all, I think she would probably be my top pick, at least right now. So she was able to TKO Amber Leibrock, who's very, very talented, by the way. So, and I think that's why that performance impressed me the most, just because I know that Amber Leibrock is very talented, very skilled. So for Larissa Pacheco to TKO her, essentially gave her no chance of winning that fight. I mean, just right from the jump, she was just laying it on her. And yeah, I mean, I kind of knew pretty early in the fight who was going to win, and she was just overwhelming her and ended up getting the TKO. So yeah, that's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Would love to see her fight Amanda Nunes, but probably will never happen unless Pacheco goes to the UFC or something crazy. I don't know. But I think these fighters in PFL, I think they like being in PFL. So I don't know if any of them will go to the UFC. I'm not sure how that will all play out. But that would be fun. That would be a fun fight. Her versus Amanda Nunes, or her versus Cyborg, or I don't know. Any of it would be fun. Dalia ended up defeating Maurice Green via unanimous decision. Yeah, an interesting thing happened in that fight. So John Jones, like I mentioned, was cornering Maurice Green, and Maurice Green arguably lost every round. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Dalia won the fight very clearly, but going into the last round, John Jones told Maurice Green that he was winning the fight. So at the end of the fight, before the judges read or before they read the judges' scorecards, Maurice Green was like dancing and like celebrating. I'm like, what the heck is he celebrating for? I'm like, he's about to lose this fight. So I don't know why John Jones thought he was winning, or maybe he just told him that because he was just trying to be nice. I don't know. But he was definitely not winning. Like, nobody thought he was winning that fight, I don't think. Maybe I missed something. But I didn't think there was any possibility that Maurice Green was going to win that fight. So I thought that was very interesting cornering from John Jones. I don't know. I don't know. I've never cornered anyone, so I don't know. Maybe it's really... Maybe he just felt like he needed to give him some encouragement. I don't know. But let's take a look at the standings right now for PFL. And I'm just going to kind of explain how it works. Just because it is a little confusing. It took me... So just for the record, like if you haven't watched PFL, it might take like... just a couple times watching it to really kind of get into it. So the first time you watch it, you'll probably be a little confused. You'll probably be like, what is going on? And then the second time you watch it, you'll be like, oh, okay. And you kind of figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you guys real quick, just about like the standings and how the PFL works. Okay. So the PFL point system is based on results of the match. I'm going to move this over here, actually. Move it to my other screen. Okay. The PFL point system is based on results of the match. The winner of a fight receives 3 points. If the fight ends in a draw, both fighters receive 1 point. Okay. The bonus for winning a fight in the first, second, or third round is 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point respectively. So if you win the fight in the first round, you get 3 points. If you win in the second, you get 2. If you win in the third, you get 1. The bonus for winning in the third round requires a fight to be stopped before 4 minutes, 59 seconds of the third round. Okay. So you don't get a bonus just for winning a fight by decision. Okay. So no bonus point will be awarded if a fighter wins via decision. For example, if a fighter wins in the first round, then the fighter will receive 6 total points. A decision win will result in 3 total points. If a fighter misses weight, the opponent will receive 3 points due to a walkover victory, regardless of winning or losing the bout. If the non-offending fighter subsequently wins with a stoppage, all bonus points will be awarded. You guys got that? Okay. So at heavyweight right now, Denis Goltsov is pretty far in the lead. He's got 12 points. Renan Fajeda has got 9. Marcelo Nunes has got 6. And then Jordan Heiderman's got 6. And then... let's see here. Women's featherweight, Larissa Pacheco, she's got 9 points. Marina Natkina, she's got 8 points. Amber Leibrock's got 6. And then Olena Kolesnik's got 5. So it'll be interesting to see how these fights shake out. So when's the next? I think Friday the 23rd is the next one. I will be watching. Obviously, I'm going to be watching all of these, but I would definitely tune in. But I'm going to have to watch 2 fights at the same time because I think on Friday, pretty sure Friday's bare knuckle also. Let me see. Because Luis Palomino is fighting bare knuckle, so I obviously am going to have to watch that. I'll see if I can figure out a way to watch both of them at once. I don't know. That might be tough. But Luis Palomino, oh my gosh. Okay, so if you see a bare knuckle event and you see Luis Palomino's name on there, watch it. Luis Palomino, Mike Perry, like all those guys, you have to watch. They're so entertaining. Oh my gosh. It's going to be so fun. This is going to be such a good fight. And it's bare knuckle. I mean, these fights are always exciting. It's very rare that you get a boring fight in bare knuckle. So, yeah, definitely tune into that one. Also, some local fights coming up. Shamrock on July 22nd at Ameristar Casino in St. Charles. That one's coming up. Hannah Lavely is fighting on that card. She's freaking awesome. And then Pete De Leon is fighting on that card as well. I don't know. I think Derek Scott, he's fighting on that card. I don't know if any others. I never see any of this stuff on social media. I always just have people like tell me who's fighting. I never see it. So I don't know. So if you have a fight coming up, tell me about it. Because otherwise I just might not know about it. Honestly, I have so much going on in my life. So like it's impossible for me to remember like all these different fights coming up, or maybe I just didn't see it. So so Shamrock's coming up July 22nd. I'm going to try to make it to that fight if I can. July is going to be a crazy month, guys. My best friend's getting married. I'm a bridesmaid. My brother and his wife, they're having their 5th child. So July is just going to be a little crazy. I've got a lot going on, but I'm going to try to make it if I can. We'll see. If I do end up able to make it to the Shamrock on the 22nd, July, if I'm able to make it to that, I will cover the event on the podcast, but we'll see if I end up making it. What else is going on? So we already went over PFL. Next week is Topuria versus Emmett. That's UFC. Trying to think. Oh, Nemesis Fighting Alliance. That is at Ballpark Village. That is also going to be on Saturday, I believe, the 24th. So Saturday we've got UFC, and then we've got a local fight here in St. Louis. For those of you that are local, it's at Ballpark Village. I don't know if I'm going to go. I have a lot going on this week, so I'd say probably not, unfortunately. But I will at least be watching UFC, and I'll try to catch some of the Nemesis fights after the fact if I can. But if I can go, I will cover it, and I will go, and then I'll just watch UFC later. But I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it work. We'll see. But the UFC fights are during the day, I think. Let me see. Yeah, they started. So the prelims, just so you guys know, Saturday prelims start at 10:30 a.m. because it's on ABC. And then the main card starts at 2. So if you're planning on watching the fights Saturday, wake up early. I'll be up. I'll be watching them. Ooh. I just thought of an idea. Okay, let me know if you guys like this idea. Maybe I do like a brunch fight companion. I mean, obviously I don't drink. Maybe I'll drink some orange juice or something instead of a mimosa. I could like make breakfast and just like eat breakfast while I'm watching the fights. Let me know if you guys like that idea, okay? For me to do like a brunch style fight companion. I'll do it. Because it's during the day, so that might be fun. I don't know. Let me know. If I get enough people ask me to do it, then I might do it. But we'll see. So, what else we got going on? What else we got? Oh, the week after that is Strickland versus Magomedov. So I'm really curious to see how that fight works out. I think Strickland should win, but I don't know. Anytime I see a Magomedov name, I get kind of scared. Obviously, we love seeing Sean Strickland win. Everybody loves Sean Strickland, but I don't know. That'll be interesting. And then UFC 290 International Fight Weeks coming up July 8th. I'm so excited. Still think Volkanovski's going to win, obviously. I've said that a couple times. But yeah, it'll be fun. Let's look at this Emmett versus Topuria card. See what we got going on here. Oh, Amanda Hebos versus Macy Barber. That's a good co-main event. I think Amanda Hebos, I would probably lean toward her winning that fight, but we'll see. Brendan Allen is on that card. He's fighting Bruno Silva to open up the main card. That's exciting. And then closing out the prelims is Neil Magny versus Phil Rowe. It's kind of interesting seeing that on the prelims. I would think that would be right before the co-main, but whatever. Phil Rowe, super talented. Neil Magny, obviously super talented. That will be a great fight. There's a lot of exciting fights here. Tabitha Ricci versus Jillian Robertson. Fun fights. So that'll be exciting. That's a fun little fight night card. And it's in Jacksonville. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, we've got a lot of... This is an exciting time to be a fight fan, honestly. And we've got the Ultimate Fighter still going on. I actually did not watch it this week because I forgot about it. Because there's so many other fight things going on. I just like can't keep it all straight. But I'm gonna go back and watch. I'll probably just binge watch like a few episodes at a time, because that's kind of how I like to watch The Ultimate Fighter. Like, I remember the first time I watched The Ultimate Fighter, I watched like a whole season in like one or 2 days. And then I watched it like 3 more times because I was like, this is so awesome. And The Ultimate Fighter is actually what really kind of helped me learn more of like the history and more of like what goes into MMA. Because up until then, like, I was more of a casual fan. Like, I would watch the fights and I would, I'd have like, fighters I would root for or whatever, but I didn't know why I was rooting for them. Like, I didn't know anything about the actual sport. So now I feel like watching things like The Ultimate Fighter, watching Contender Series and all that kind of stuff, it really helped me understand the sport more. And yeah, it's just cool to see like what all goes into it. And obviously it's TV, it's not 100% real, but it's pretty real. I mean, it's fighting. You can't really fake fighting unless it's like WWE. But yeah, very fun. Very fun. I still, like I said, I just don't think that Conor and Chandler are going to fight anytime soon, or maybe ever. I think they'd probably be better off trying to book Chandler an actual opponent that's going to fight. I mean, the fight isn't even booked, so they're trying to still convince us that the fight's going to happen, but the fight hasn't even been booked. And Conor missed the deadline to get in the USADA testing pool, so he's not going to be fighting this year unless they give him an exception. So, I don't know. It's really annoying, honestly. Like, what is Conor doing? What is he doing? Get your act together, Conor. God. Sorry. That was my Conor McGregor rant. I'm not convinced that he's getting ready for a fight. I don't think he is. I think if the fight happens, maybe it'll be next year. Because even if he does get the exception for USADA testing, and the thing is, I don't think he's necessarily worried about USADA testing because of steroids. I think he's worried about it for other things. So just based on his recent behavior, he's obviously involved in a lot of controversy right now. I don't think he's worried about steroids. I think he's worried about something else with USADA. I'm not going to say what it is, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's interesting and very doubtful we will see Conor McGregor fight anytime soon. I think we'd probably see him in bare knuckle boxing before we see him fight Michael Chandler, just being honest. Actually, I'd probably rather see him in bare knuckle at this point. Just fight. Do something. And when's the last time he won a fight? Let's see. Okay, so he's won 1 fight in the last 5 years. Oh, actually, technically in the last like 6.5 years. Because the last win before Cerrone was Eddie Alvarez. And then he was stripped of the belt after that. Like, do you guys realize Conor McGregor has never defended the title? Ever? I sound like such a Conor McGregor hater right now. I don't know. I'm just annoyed because I want to see him do something. Do something. Stop hanging out on your yacht and doing crazy weird stuff. Like, if he would have just not done The Ultimate Fighter, then it's like, okay, fine. But like, you did The Ultimate Fighter. I feel like you kind of have an obligation to fight if you do The Ultimate Fighter. And it doesn't seem like he's getting ready to fight. I don't know. I should probably stop talking about this before I get mad. Yeah, so since he won against Eddie Alvarez, he lost to Khabib, of course, because it's Khabib. And then he beat Donald Cerrone 2 years later, lost to Dustin Poirier a year later, and then lost to Dustin Poirier again 5 months later. And Donald Cerrone was at welterweight, so he hasn't won a fight at lightweight in 7 years. 7 years. Let me say that again. Conor McGregor has not won a fight at lightweight in almost 7 years. What is going on? Come on, fight somebody. Fight Chandler. I really do want to see him fight Chandler, though. I think that'd be a great fight. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know how all this controversy is going to play out for him, so we should probably see how that goes first before we book any fights. And maybe that's why the fight hasn't been booked, because Conor is doing Conor stuff. That's what he's doing. Anyways, well, I'm going to wrap this up. I hate to leave it on that note, but whatever. Thank you guys for watching, listening, however you're consuming this. I really do appreciate the support. I'm really excited to really get into PFL. I mean, I'm really starting to kind of get the hang of it and learning it. So I'm excited to kind of share that with you guys, because maybe, you know, it does kind of take a while to get into it. So maybe you watch it a couple times, you're like, I don't know. And then maybe me talking about it will help you kind of understand it more, maybe help you get into it. I don't know. But I think PFL is the future of MMA. I honestly do. I think it's going to take a while to catch up to the UFC, but I think that if there's anybody that can do it, I think it's PFL. I think what they're doing is amazing. And if they are able to buy Bellator, that would be huge. That would just be so big for the sport of MMA, for PFL, for the fighters, for everything. So much exciting stuff going on. And the fact that Francis Ngannou and John Jones were at the fights at PFL, just, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm just excited for the future of MMA. There's a lot of really exciting stuff going on, and I think these organizations like Bare Knuckle and PFL are really helping grow the women's side of MMA, which obviously, as a woman, that's kind of what I get more excited about. That's kind of what hits me, like, tugs at my heartstrings a little bit more, is watching women's fights, because I am a woman, and I feel like as a female fighter, you know, you kind of have something to prove. I guess at least how I would feel if I was a female fighter. Like, I have something to prove, like, that I can do this too. Like, it's not just for men, it's girls can fight, and girls can fight even better. So that would at least be probably my mentality if I were a fighter. So that's why female fights always just are so much more exciting for me to watch. And yeah, PFL and Bare Knuckle are doing a great job at promoting the women's fights, which I think is fantastic. So, yeah, that is all for this episode, but thank you guys again. I really do appreciate the support, and I will see you next week. Bye.